Welcome in, everybody. It's Wednesday night's YouTube class hosted by me, Dave Celentano, with Guitar Tricks sponsoring the class. Hope everyone's doing good. Looks like there's already several folks checked in here. All right, cool to see some good familiar names. Some of them I know the faces, and some of them it's cool just to see your name here. All right, so a bang, cool, and then SJ Locale, right on. Steve in New Hampshire, right on. Joshua, cool. Dennis is here. Steve, all right, good. David Carlton, hey Dave, what's happening? Dave, I bet you get tired of that joke. Dave's not here. I get that all the time. Little Cheech and Chong joke there. What else we got here? Hello, Nick. Yeah, what's happening? And do. Joshua, yep. I'm doing great today, Joshua. Thanks for asking. Cool. Richard, right on. Roland, all right. Another familiar face and name, right on. Cool. Richard, right. Cool. Terry, cool. Let's get the show on the road. We're almost done with our 7-week series. Tonight we're on week number 6 of 7. Excuse me. So tonight we're going to work on some rhythm guitar riffs with the blues, 12-bar blues. The last 2 weeks, we've been working on short little pentatonic ideas, short little pentatonic licks that are sandwiched in between some rhythm guitar stuff. If you missed week 4, we were doing it with a slide, and you can always look back on Guitar Tricks YouTube channel at the past videos that I've done, and Mike also has done a whole bunch too, and they're up on that as well. I heard, unfortunately, that Guitar Tricks took Mike's YouTube class off for right now, at least for the time being. We'll miss him, man. He was good, but he's still with Guitar Tricks. Mike does a ton. Michael actually does a ton of videos with Guitar Tricks. So if you folks are members there, I'm sure you're very well aware of how much Mike puts into the Guitar Tricks website in terms of work and playing. He's a great player too. But so I'm your host on Wednesday nights here. We're gonna do blues, and then we'll get into some other things coming up in the next weeks after that. I'll mention some of that stuff later tonight or next Wednesday. Since next Wednesday's the last stuff, I'll give everyone a heads up as to what's coming. But on week 4 and week 5, we're doing those short little blues licks with some rhythm guitar sandwiched in between. I'll just play a couple of those ideas real quick. So if any of you missed it, you can go back and check it out. And by the way, too, go ahead and expand the text box that's under this video, and you'll see a link to print out the curriculum for tonight. It's called Beginning Blues Guitar Week 6. So on Beginning Blues Guitar Week 4, we were doing this thing. Okay, kind of like a John Lee Hooker type of idea. And then on week 5, we took that same idea, but incorporated string bends instead of finger slides. Instead of that, I was going. Okay, so 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Yep, like that. So, Steve, man, a ton of folks are just commenting here. I just caught Steve says dimples. I was just going to say, is that the Dwayne Allman one? Yeah, it's kind of sounds like that, doesn't it? Dwayne Allman's awesome. Great slide player, great blues player too. Dwayne played on a bunch of, besides the Allman Brothers, of course, but did a lot of studio work and played on Boz Scaggs, a couple songs from Boz Scaggs, and several other musicians too. So let me just kind of, a lot of comments came down. I'm definitely going to answer any questions folks have, you viewers have. So feel free to write some questions in there. I'll try to catch them. Looking down the list here. Hey, Laura. All right, cool. Good to see you, Laura. First timer on Wednesdays. Yeah, no, I would kind of not pipe in, but drop in on Mike's class occasionally and see how it's going. And I often would see your name up on the comments there, Laura. Cool. You're a good, loyal, faithful student of the guitar and guitar tricks. Cool. Yeah, yep, it's sad. But hey, Mike's still busy as heck. And, who knows? They might reinstate his class again. Never know. See how that goes. But they do have a neat thing going now, too. I got to tell you on Guitar Tricks. The site has really become very organic and not just having a bunch of video lessons, but we create custom lesson plans for the students. That's something that I do. And if the student requests one, and you can see all that on their site, on their homepage, they've got some on the left side, they've got some areas, and I think over the top too, where you can order a custom lesson plan. They also have something where you can get direct feedback on your playing from one of the instructors on the site. So you would record a short video you're playing, maybe some questions you might have, and then the instructor, and know that Mike Alexia is one of them that's going to be doing that, will watch your video and critique it and send you a short video back and give you some advice. So that's really beneficial to everyone who's a student of the guitar and wanting to learn more about it, because just learning random stuff from books and YouTube videos is cool. But if you don't have a sensei, someone that's better than you on the instrument that can give you advice, it's hard to know if you've got it and if you're doing it right. And a lot of times you might be playing it really good, but maybe there's like a better fingering or better picking technique you could use. And that's hard to tell just by like seeing everyone right now that's commenting. I can't take a listen to hear you or see you play. So it's hard for me to give any good advice to people directly. But that's what the videos are for, the custom videos. Hey, Maverick, what are you doing? You got to let me teach, okay? Gotta go. All right, so hopefully Maverick will be cool and just chill out. All right, he's our new little puppy. Just let me get back on track here. Dropped off with Laura. Yeah, SJ Locale. Yep. So, all right, cool, Laura. Thanks. Let me just check out. Let me just make sure everyone's just commenting on stuff and no particular questions yet. Cool, Laura. All right, yeah, I know you study with Mike too, as well as myself. Yep, cool. It's puppy time. Right on. Yeah, I often keep Maverick in the room here when I teach my lessons. He likes to hang out with me, but not when I'm doing the YouTube class. I've got my wife taking care of him now. Okay, so back to the shop here, folks. So if you like those little blues licks I played from week 4 and 5, just go back in the Guitar Tricks channel's YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see some of the back videos from days gone by, and you can find week 4 and 5 and check those out. Okay, so tonight we're going to be working on not so much lead guitar stuff, but some rhythm guitar elements. So take a look at example 1. We've just got 2 examples here, but there's a lot of stuff going on. So I'm going to kind of play through example 1 here, and then we'll talk about it. And I always like to do variations too on stuff. So example 1 is a very common blues rhythm. Bar 1 gives you the idea. Okay, we're going to do that 4 times. It sounds a lot like Freddie King's I'm Torn Down. Eric Clapton did a cool version of it. I've heard that rhythm too, and a few other blues songs as well. So it's a good little one to capture. And let me run through the entire example 1. We'll break it down and talk about the details. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. and it just repeats. Okay, so that's a very comfortable rhythm to play. It's not that hard to do. You only need 2 fingers. If you notice, I was just using my index and ring finger. Okay, and most of the notes are right out of your A pentatonic scale. Pattern number 1. And even more specifically, ladies and gentlemen, they're notes out of the A7 chord during the A7 chord bars, the top 4 bars. See, I've got a chord name written over them. That's the chord that's implied by the riff that we're playing. So even though we're not playing the A7 chord or the D7 or the E7 chord, literally, we're playing the notes of the chord. Not necessarily all the notes, but we're playing only notes of the chord. Okay, so let me see. Cold and snowy rain on the way. Yep. All right, cool. King 50, right on. Okay, so just real briefly, I know a lot of students just like to learn how to play this stuff, and that's it. But a lot of other students, and actually most of my students, they like to go beyond just, hey, I can play the song, but I don't know what I'm playing. I just know where to put my fingers and make it sound good. Going beyond that and understanding, that's a really big tool for helping you to understand how other guitar players write their riffs and their songs. I get a lot of students asking me too how they want to write songs. They want to know how to improvise. They want to create their own solos. They want to write their own chord progressions, their own songs. To do that, you need to kind of learn a little bit of stuff. Like you need to know your notes on the fretboard. Okay, that's 101, guitar 101. If you want to get good at theory, you need to know where it all exists on your fretboard, not just reading a book, but knowing your notes on the fretboard. I got students that have come to me and they say they know their modes, like they know the Mixolydian mode is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 flat 7. But when they play it on their guitar, they struggle to find out how to play it. They can't really play it. So that doesn't do you much good if you know it from a book in your head intellectually, but you can't move it to the guitar. We need to be able to take that information and play it on the guitar. In fact, this guitar neck for me is a little mnemonic device. Whenever I'm doing theory and talking theory with students and friends and other musicians, I visualize my fretboard. I know all the notes on the fretboard, so I can quickly see the patterns of whatever we're talking about. And if I didn't have my guitar fretboard there, I would have a little harder time to figure it out. Usually, most musicians understand theory relative to their instrument. So a piano player, they think about the theory and construction of the notes and chords on their piano, the patterns that their fingers do, or the scales or the arpeggios or the chord progression goes. We do the same thing on guitars. It's a little different though, because we got 6 strings, which are like 6 little pianos. Okay. So you want to kind of know that stuff. Anyway, I know I kind of get a little long-winded here, but hopefully it's going to benefit everyone. I encourage you to just seek out a little bit of theory as you go. Okay. So the notes of an A7 chord, just real quickly, it's the root, the third, the fifth, and the flat 7 are the scale tones we want to use for the A7 chord. So the root would be A. The third degree is the third note in the A major scale. Is C sharp. So you got A, C sharp, E is the 5th. And then a dominant 7th chord, or all these 7th chords we use in blues, the 7th degree is flatted from the major scale. It doesn't say that in the chord, but it's implied that it's flatted. So if you know your major scale, the do, re, mi sound, the 7th note is flatted. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You got to play that note instead. So the 7th note in the A major scale is G sharp. We need to make it a G for A7, a flat 7 there. Okay, so those 4 notes, A, C sharp, E, G, are your notes you want to play with to write a riff. Like what we got going on here is A, then we jump to the 4th string 7th fret. It's also A. Then we go back to the 5th fret on the 4th string. That's your G. That's the flat 7 or the 7th of A. And then the 5th string at the 7th fret is your E note. That's the 5th degree. Okay, so we don't have the C sharp, but that's okay. We've got 3 of the 4 notes we need. You can kind of hear how it fits. Okay, and then for the D7, we do the same thing. Okay, we just drop down a string. The pattern is actually the same geometric shape. We just drop down and play that twice. Okay, and by the way, just FYI, everybody, that in bar 1, it's clearly notated with the tablature and how to pick it, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And then the fingers I would suggest to use are written on the finger numbers are written on the left side of all the little notes up here. Okay, so don't worry if you can't read the music part. Don't worry about it. But you see on the left side of the notes, you'll see a little number. That's your finger number. Index is 1, middle is 2, rings 3, pinky is 4. So all you'll see is 1s and 3s for the fingers. Okay, so this symbol means repeat the previous bar. So we're going to do 1 bar of A7, 2 bars, 3 bars, 4 bars. Then we drop down and do D for 2 bars or 2 times. Then we go back to A for 2 times. And in the bottom lines where it gets busy, when we go from bar 9 to bar 12, we play the E chord for 1 full bar, the D for a full bar, back to the A for a full bar. And then instead of playing the E riff again, I like to change it up a little bit and play the E7 chord instead of the E7 riff. So for the bar 5 and 6, we got the D7. Okay, just real quick, for the notes of the D7 chord, if anyone's got a piece of paper and pencil and you want to kind of study what I'm mentioning to you, you can always watch the video again later on after it's over and rewind it and catch it. Or you can just write this down now. The D7 chord has the notes D is the root, F sharp is the third, A is the fifth, and C is the flat 7, or the 7th. Okay, so our riff uses the same numeric names as we did for the A7. So in other words, we got the root again an octave higher. Then we go back to the C note, that's your flat 7. And then the A note on string 4 is your 5th degree. Okay, and then bar 7 and 8, we go back to the A, revisit A for 2 bars. Okay, and then for the bar 9, 10, 11, we're going to start with 9 up at the E riff. We're going to play the exact same shape on the same strings as the D, but 2 frets higher on the 7th and 9th fret. Okay, so your E7 chord has the notes E is the root, G sharp is the third, B is the 5th, and D is the flat 7. Okay? And then back to the D, just move it back 2 frets, and then up a string for A. Okay? And then here's a neat little thing. I always try to find shortcuts or little tools, little things that'll make it easier to transition. Like for instance, if when you're switching from a chord to another chord, instead of playing like a C and then to A minor, just lift off all your fingers and then replant the A minor, try to make observations. Like on C to A minor, your second and index finger, your second and first finger, don't move. They're actually on the same note, the same string, the same frets for both chords. So from a C to an A minor, all you have to do is lift your 3rd finger off and move it over to the 3rd string, 2nd fret. Okay, watch this. The last riff in bar 11, the A7, and on your 3rd finger on the 5th string, 7th fret, the E7 chord we got there in bar 12 is this shape. Okay, let me describe that. I don't have a chord block written out there, but what you'll do is keep your 3rd finger on the 5th string, 7th fret, put your middle finger on the 4th string, 6th fret, right underneath it, index finger on the 2nd string, 5th fret, and then pinky on the 3rd string, 7th fret. Okay, looks like a C7 chord, like if you know your cowboy chords, right? Okay, let's get back here. You C7. It's the exact same shape. You just move it up 4 frets from fret 1 to 5. There's your E7. And then once you're on that chord, you see the down, up, down, up, down, up symbols, the little square without the bottom line on it, or an open staple looking symbol. That's a downstroke, and the V's are the upstrokes. So you're going to go down strum, up strum on the E7 like this. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Okay? So you might want to practice just that transition from the last 2 bars, or in the last 2 bars. So bar 11, you got A, do it slowly. Right to your E7. And then you can pause. The last down strum is a quarter note, so we can pause for a sec, and then back to the beginning. You see the repeat sign at the end of bar 12 there. Hey, let me just catch some more comments here. Action stack, yeah, 6 little pianos. You like that? That's yeah, it's like each string is almost 2 octaves. You know, if we got, at least on my electric guitar, I got 22 frets. If we have a 24 fret guitar, like I've got a Charvel in the closet, that has 24 frets. So it's actually 2 full octaves on each string. And an octave on piano is, you know, from like a C to a C, that's 1 full octave on piano. So you've got 2 of those together is sort of 1 string on guitar. An E to an E, then E to E would be 1, like your low E string on a 24 fret guitar. Most of us, though, for electric guitars, we only have 22. If you got a Fender Strat or a Telecaster, they're either 22 or 21. Most Gibsons, at least all the Gibsons I have, are 22 frets. Okay, so that's generally the marker. Most electric guitars are 22 or 21 frets. And then occasionally the hot rodded ones tend to be like 24 frets. Of course, there's ones that go even higher where the frets get tighter. But at that point, most people can't even get their little pinky in the frets. So it's kind of pointless. Good deal. And then Barry's saying, Toronto, right on, Barry. Good to have you. 528 notes. I guess that's what, yeah, cool. All right. So here's what I want everyone to think about. If you can already do example 1, fantastic. But I'll bet there's a lot of folks out there, a lot of guitar players that need to practice this for a few minutes to get it down. Okay. Now the E7 at the bottom right here that we just talked about, it looks like a C7 shape. I just described that. Up here at the top, the E7 and D7 I have written, that's for example 2. We're going to look at those. We're going to do bar chord versions of those chords in example 2, which we'll definitely tag on in a few minutes. Okay. But here's what I'd like you to do. And almost all my students, when we do this example, when we get to the A7 chord, there's always a little pause when they go to E7. They're booking along. Okay, like that. We need to eliminate that pause. So don't keep practicing it that way, hoping that you're going to get to the E7 quicker, because what's happening is you're actually practicing to pause. And we don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. So slow everything down. I know it's humbling if you can play the first part really good and fast. Just take the last chord, the last 2 chords, the last 2 bars, A7, do it in slow motion, but get to the E7 chord quick. So maybe you go like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. See how that works? Maybe even slower. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Because you don't want to have pauses when you're playing your music. The best way to practice it to get rid of the pauses is to slow it down. And I know everyone wants to play fast. They want to learn quick. They want to cram a whole bunch of information in really fast. But doing that will kind of not really develop the muscle memory that we need to actually memorize it and be able to play it good. Okay. So we Try to play through example 1 with a metronome, possibly. Okay. And let me actually, I'll fire one up for everyone here and give you an example. Let me get mine going here. But the reason why we do that is that the metronome keeps us real. And I know how much everybody loves working with the metronome. Trust me, folks, I still practice with the metronome almost every day. I'm human, just like everyone else that's here. We're, we ebb and flow. We speed up, we slow down a little bit. The metronome keeps you real. Okay. So what we don't want to do is play along, and then when we're even not just going from a riff to a chord, but going from one riff to another riff, we don't want to have a pause unless there's a pause in the song. In this one, though, there's not. So we want to keep everything consistent. So we don't want to go, oh, that sounded good. Right on. All right, I'm sounding great here. Okay, here a little pause, not good. So you don't want to stop and look. You want to take everything slower. That's not what we should be doing. Take it slower and then be able to switch without stopping the beat. And I know we're practicing it slower, but we can always speed up later on. Right now, though, we need to work at getting it connected without stopping. All right, I see a few more comments. Let me just check it out. Laura's saying, I decided to just practice doubling up the picking so I can keep the left hand stuff slow. Cool, Laura. All right, good deal. And then Doug's saying he's 55, just starting. All right. Well, hey, Doug, no, there's no time like now, no matter how old you are, anyone is, to start. It doesn't take that many, it doesn't take that long to get sort of decent on guitar if you practice at it. The problem is a lot of folks, they get bored or they lose interest or they just don't find the time. But if you've got the time, Doug, for instance, just try to do a half hour every day. Squeeze it in, just make time for it. Even if you do like 20 minutes a day, that's better than not doing it at all. The more times you can put your guitar in your hands and work on whatever you're working on, the better. You'll get good quicker. It's a lot better, folks, to practice a little bit every day. Say you do a half hour every day, all week long. That's 7 times a half hour. That's 3.5 hours a week that you practice. That's better to do a little bit every day rather than doing nothing on a couple days of the week and then maybe an hour or a half hour on a Thursday and then nothing on Friday. And on Saturday, you make up for it by practicing for 2 hours. And then Sunday, you practice for another hour. Okay. That's good. Glad you're practicing, but that's not really the better way to do it. You want to try to do a little bit every day. And John Williams, he's not the John Williams, the classical composer that's done a lot of film scores, like for Jaws and Star Wars. But John Williams, the classical guitar player, look him up on the internet, you'll find him. Fantastic player. I've just found out that in his formative years when he was learning to play guitar, he only practiced an hour every day, which is not that much. I mean, I do more than that myself. And you read about folks like Yngwie Malmsteen or some of these other cats, guitar players, doing like 4, 5, 6 hours a day. When I was younger, I did 4 hours a day for like 10 years. And I know because I kept track of it. I'm kind of anal in that way. But right now, I don't practice that much. I do about an hour, hour and a half a day. Plus, I'm teaching. But you don't have to practice that much to get good. All right. John Williams is fantastic, and he's a classical player. So that style of music takes a little more stamina and stickability and practice time to get good at it. For most of us here, we're like blues, rock, classic rock, country. Okay. That's a little bit, those are easier styles in a way to learn to play than the classical stuff. So you can get pretty good in a relatively short time if you just stick with it. Okay. So good to see, Doug. All right. Dave's saying plant your finger at the end of the A7 chord and E7 chord, like you said, really helps. Yep, exactly, Dave. Cool, cool. That's what I'm trying to point out, is little shortcuts for everybody. And then Laura says, I get add and start messing around. Oh, ADD. Yep. Well, that's also good, Laura, for when you take lessons with like myself or Mike, like you do during the lesson, you're forced to stay focused. I mean, I always have a lesson plan for each one of my students in my date book right in front of me, because I got a lot of students, and I got a different plan for everybody. I keep track of what I'm doing. So each time I see my student, whether it's next week or 2 weeks or 2 months from now, I look back on what we last did, and I expect to hear some improvement on that stuff and to go over it during our lesson. So I kind of, doing lessons with somebody keeps you focused. Okay. No problem, Laura, though. It's all good. Just stick with it. Yeah. Nick Allen saying, biggest problem I had as a beginner. Right on. Laura. All right, cool. Yep, Nick, that's it. Just got to slow it down. Yep. I know. And I'm only saying this stuff, people. I'm only preaching this stuff because I've been teaching since I was like 21, and I'm a lot older than that now. I've been doing this a long time. I've been teaching for over 30 years. And from back when I first started to just yesterday, when I was teaching yesterday, students always trying to play things a little too fast they don't quite have it down. Slow it down and you'll get it better. You'll get it quicker that way. Okay. Doug's saying, got to play 3/4 scale with disability. I got the time. Oh, cool. You're playing I'm supposing you're talking about you're playing a 3/4 size guitar. Cool. Cool. And Dave's saying, I'm 62. I've been playing for 50 years and I'm just starting. Seriously. Good, David. I know you're not just starting. You're a really good player. I've worked with you before. Cool. Cool. We're all here learning. I'm still working on stuff. Every day when I'm practicing, I'm not playing the same stuff. I rarely practice this blues stuff because I've already kind of did it a long time ago and I've kind of got most of it under my belt. What I'm working on now is things that I'm not good at. Like I love Spanish style guitar playing. So I'm working on that when I'm not teaching. All right. Action Stacks saying starting is hard, even 10 minutes a day when your fingers are hurting a bit. Piano doesn't hurt your fingers, for example. You're absolutely right, Action Stack. Yep. We don't get calluses on piano, although I don't play piano, but I know from my piano playing friends, that's the case. But yeah, once you stick with it, though, Action Stack, you get the calluses. That's nothing new. I'm sure you know about that. And then once the calluses are developed, you're in. You got it. Cool. All right. And Laura's saying, here's something for the old folks. Charo, she plays flamenco to this day. Oh yeah, she's great, man. I love her Malagueña song. It's beautiful. She's fantastic. In fact, I've transcribed a few of her licks from her Malagueña one, and Malagueña, I think is how you pronounce it, but I worked them into my version of Malagueña. Wow, she said she would often practice 8 hours a day. That's Charo. And she was a student of Segovia. Yep, Laura. Yeah. So, it just depends on how bad we want to get good. Obviously, if you do 8 hours a day, that's just a lot of time. I've never practiced that much in my life, but she wants to get good, and she'll get good quick by doing that. She is already good. But my example with Larry or John Williams was that you don't have to practice a lot, hours and hours a day to get good. Just reading these comments again. Doug's saying, what best thing to play as I'm starting? Well, Doug, probably this example 1 is a relatively simple little riff to play on guitar. Hopefully you can read tablature. And if you don't, on Guitar Tricks, Doug, which I'm assuming you're a Guitar Tricks member, we've got some video lessons on how to read tablature, explaining that. And also you might want to order one of the custom lesson plans on Guitar Tricks, because that will set you up with things to practice, not just doing the blues riff that I got here tonight, but some specific things on their site to work through each time you practice. Okay, so check that out, Doug. That might help you. Yep. And then the Chili Peppers bass player and guitarist, John Frusciante and Flea, they practice all the time. Yeah, there's some musicians, that they're like Eddie Van Halen. It's like every interview I read, it's about him saying that he never didn't have a guitar in his hand. So he's like always playing. So something to think about. Wow, we've got a lot of people commenting here. Cool. Paul T. Ireland saying, I'm 54 and want to learn, but I'm worried it's too late. I'd love to learn blues guitar, bought a decent electric guitar. Paul, yeah, if you're a Guitar Tricks member, check out some of the blues lessons on the site, order a custom lesson plan from them, and through that, I'll point you in the right direction of some lessons to work on. Paul, you might even want to take a lesson or two with me, and you can book a lesson with me on Guitar Tricks or through my website, davesalentano.com. And I can help you. Once I hear and see where you're at, what you're playing, I can give you some pointers, a lot of stuff to work on. And I even have some of my own curriculum I can give you on top of what we'll do with Guitar Tricks. Oh, yeah. She knew Andre Segovia. Yes. Yep. Yeah. Segovia is very, he's no longer with us, but he's hugely popular in the classical world and the guitar world. Yep. Paul, yeah, your friend said that tablature is not really learning. It sort of is. I would disagree with that. I'd argue that one because at least it's getting you to play guitar without bogging us down with, playing Mary Had a Little Lamb and a bunch of other silly little tunes on guitar in open position trying to learn to read music. All right. That's good to do. Learn to read music. I read music and I teach. I have some students that we do read music on. I can help you with that. But if you want to kind of just work on specifically something to get you good, Paul, tablature is nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's sort of like sight reading. You're looking at the lines and the numbers, and you're just trying to figure out where they are on your guitar. All right. We can always learn to read music too once we get you playing the guitar and making some good music, so you feel motivated. Okay. I wouldn't be afraid of it at all, Paul. Andre said Segovia had the largest fingers I've ever seen. Yep, exactly. Laura. All right. Anyway, so let me just okay, cool. Just finishing up the comments here. All right, cool. Let's get back to our blues, folks. So metronome for example 1, and then we're going to rip over into example 2. And appreciate all the comments and the interaction between the viewers there. It's very cool. So let me crank the volume up here. Okay, I'm going to start at 70 beats a minute. And what you want to do is make sure that when you're playing the riff, the downstrokes are in the beat, the upstrokes are in the and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And you want that shuffle feel. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 Okay, now when we're starting out though, if some of you folks are just starting out here, just go ahead and learn the riff with the straight feel first. It doesn't sound as cool or as bluesy. Okay, that's where you play the notes. Let me shut that off for a sec. Instead of shuffling it or having the swing feel, we're going to keep everything very steady. Still doing down ups. Down, up, down, up. It's really important to get the hang of that down up. See my pick? real briefly, to get the shuffle feel, what we're doing is we're going down, and instead of doing the up exactly in between the beats, we're pausing a little bit and then getting the upstroke real quick into the next note's downstroke. So in jazz, they often refer to that as you hold the first note longer and the second note shorter. So it's long, short, long, short, long, short, long. Okay? Long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short. Okay, and then see my right hand? If you want to get the shuffle, like the Texas shuffle that Stevie Ray Vaughan does so well, you got to get this alternate picking going. You can't just randomly go down, down, up, down, down, up, down, and mix them up. I see that with some of my students, and I quickly correct them on that. You got to make sure there's more to playing guitar, everyone, than just getting the left hand down. The right hand is super important. Even though a downstroke and an upstroke sound the same, don't say, well, what's the difference if they sound the same? It has a lot to do with your feel and getting your whole body into the rhythm. See, if we're doing like a more of a Stevie Ray Vaughan way of playing this, you're not going to get that like Pride and Joy. So you got to get the down up thing going. So this little example one is perfect if you like the blues and Stevie Ray Vaughan style, and pretty much most blues songs have a shuffle feel. So this is going to work across the board for your rhythm guitar chops, is to get the hang of the down, up, down, up, down. Okay. So let me speed it up a little bit. I'm going to kind of move along because I want to make sure we have time to do example 2 here. So I did that last one was at 70 beats a minute. Here's example 1 at 100. I'm going to just jump up kind of quickly here. 3, 4. You can stop each note like I'm doing, or you can let it ring like this. Whichever one you want. It's up to you. Okay, you got to be able to play in time with the metronome and just keep going slower until you find your tempo that you can do it at and you get on the beat. Okay, the metronome's going to help everyone a lot, trust me. Okay, let's jump down to example 2. So this one's a little trickier. There's a lot of elements in the riff, and it's basically, if you look, the very first bar is what we call a pickup bar. So those 3 notes come in on the 4th beat when we're counting in, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, that kind of rhythm. So it's got a, what is that, 3 and 4 more, 7 notes in the lick. So it starts with 3 notes at the pickup bar, which is a 7 on string 4, pull off to the 5th fret, and then 7 on string 5. Okay, then we jump down to the 5th fret on string 6. That's on beat 1 of where the song actually starts. Then we jump up, slide up to the 3rd string 6th fret with your middle finger. See that little diagonal line that comes in right before the 6? That's a slide. So where does the slide start? Well, if it's not written where it starts from, like maybe the 4th fret or the 5th fret, the important thing is we don't want to hear where it starts. We want to hear the whirring sound of the slide into the 6. See how that works like that? And then we jump over to the 5th fret on 1st string with your index finger, and then pinky on the 2nd string, 8th fret. So that's the first 4 notes in bar, the main bar right there under the A7 is. Okay, and a little vibrato, little finger wiggle if you want, with your pinky on that last note. So all together it goes. and then the end of that bar is another, and then you see the repeat signs right there. So we're gonna do, where is it? Do right down there. We're gonna do that first bar 1, 2, 3 times, and then on the fourth time we do it, but the ending we're gonna start moving up to the 10th and 12th fret for the D chord, which is actually real easy. Once you get this pattern down and you do it 4 times, see, check this out. Here's the first one, second one, third one, fourth one. Okay. And you hear how that sounds like the A7? Remember we talked about the notes of the chord? It's A, C sharp, E, and G. Okay, from that point, I'm just making up a riff. Actually, I've heard this somewhere before, but it's only notes in the A7 chord. You got your A, pull off to your G note, the 5th fret on the 4th string. 7th fret on the 5th string is your E. The root note's A on the 6th string, 5th fret. Those are all chord tones. In fact, those notes are the same notes we used in that riff from example 1. But see how we change it up? It's neat to take notes of a riff and manipulate them a little bit, play them a little differently to get, squeeze another song out of them. Okay? And then we slide up here to the 6th fret, 3rd string. That's your C sharp, which is the major third of A7. If you play your A7 bar chord, you see that your middle finger is on the C sharp. First string, 5th fret is your index on that. That's the A again. That's the root. And then it ends on the 8th fret, 2nd string. That's G. That's the flat 7 of the A7 chord. Okay? So this riff is kind of fun and interesting because it uses all the notes of the A7 chord. Then for the D7, we're going to move up 5 frets to the 10th fret, and we're going to play the notes of the D7 up here twice. Okay, then we go back down to the A7 twice. We're following the exact same form as example 1 up here. See how we did the A for 4 bars 4 times? Then the D for 2, then the A again for 2. And then the bottom we go 1 on A, 1 on D. 1 on E, 1 on D, 1 on A, and then the E. We're going to follow that exact template, but with a different riff. Okay, so we've already got 4 times of A riff. Move up 5 frets for the D. Do that twice. Back down 5 frets for the A. Twice. Now that last one, you'll see the last one I just played is the very last one on the bottom of page 1. We're actually going to not do that da-da-da again like we've been doing. We're going to just let that 8 ring for the entire bar. And then probably be a good idea to not have your paper stapled where you got to flip them like I'm doing, but have them printed out or open up on your computer screen both so you can see them and work on them, because you don't want to stop. Remember what we're saying? We don't want to stop when we go from one part to the next. I've got it memorized, but I just want to make sure got it ready to go and show everyone if I need to hold it up. Okay, so we just did that last riff twice. One more. And just let that 8 ring. Then you go to the top of page 2. You see an E7 chord, bar chord there. And on page 1 at the very top, you'll see those 2 little chord diagrams, the neck diagrams there for D7 and E7. Okay, that's E7 is barred at the 5th fret. And these are the same shapes we use for the E and D7 in week 4. If you were with me 2 weeks ago, these are exactly the same chords. Bar chord on the 7th fret with your index finger, ring finger on string 4 at the 9th fret, pinky on string 2 at the 9th fret. And then just make sure all the notes are audible, they sound good. Okay, and the trick is, you got to stand your fingers on the tippy tips. See how my first finger's flat like a human capo, and then my 3rd and 4th finger in the tippy tips. If we're kind of flat fingered like this, what happens is the fingers touch the strings underneath them. sound right there. All right. So stand the fingers, get them perpendicular. See how my last knuckles on my ring and pinky finger are coming down almost perpendicular. And trying not to touch the other strings on either side. It's going to take a little practice. That's what practice is for. Okay. All right. Sorry, I get distracted when I see more comments. Yep. So let me finish this one up here. Steve saying, do you ever teach private on nothing but theory? Steve, yeah, if you want, I could work on just theory, like chord building, scale building, modes, whatever you want to do, Steve. If that's what you want to do, reach out to me. You can email me through my website, davesalentano.com, or on Guitar Tricks. You can write me on the forum. All of us instructors on Guitar Tricks are on the forum in Guitar Tricks as well. And you can comment, you can write to us directly there. So find my name and then write me personally and I'll get back with you. Okay. I feel like Steve's saying, I feel like I'm never going to learn how to apply it in real time. Well, the thing to do is learn about it, Steve, but also try to apply it. I try to give, like when I'm doing triads with students, I don't just give them the different inversions of the triads and explain the theory of it, but I give song examples, either little music examples that I've written using the triads or songs we've heard many times that use the triads. So you're going to not just learn the theory part, which is good, but we got to, like I said at the top of the lesson or earlier tonight, we got to be able to apply it and see it on the fretboard. So I will give you that too, Steve. Cool, Laura. Glad you're digging it. And Dave is saying, any chance we could hear the playthrough with the strumming chords before the very end of the lesson? Absolutely, David. Yep, we're almost done. We got a few more minutes here. And Joshua, you're very welcome. Hang out. We got about 7-8 more minutes here. Okay, last 4 bars, top of page 2, everybody. We got the E7. It's doing a down, up, down, up, down, up, down strum with the shuffle feel. Then back 2 frets for D7. This one we don't do quite as many strums. We go 1, 2, 3. And then we do the A7 riff one time. And then I'll make a little chord stab here on the 5th fret, 1st and 2nd string, just a downstroke and a quick stop. And then grab your E7 chord again. Now this one, it's got the same amount of strums as the bar 9, but look what's happening here. Instead of strumming 8th notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, here we're going triplets, which are going a little bit, the tempo is still the same, but triplets mean 3 strums or 3 notes per beat, not 2. So it's going to sound a little quicker. It's going to, instead of going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, it's going to go 1 E and 2 E and 3. And then you stop real quick. So that last bar goes, and then you see the very last 3 notes. That's your pickup bar we did at the top of example 2, going back into the beginning. So the whole last 4 bars, and then I'll play the whole thing for everybody, goes like this. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. 4, 1, 2, 3, back to the top. just kind of improvising a little solo in A over that same type of rhythm. So, David, I hope that answers your question about the playthrough. That was it right there. And just take the stuff slowly. Try to practice it with a metronome. Find some backing tracks. Guitar Tricks has a ton of great backing tracks on the site that you can practice over. Laura's saying, I believe I'll be going over this a few times before my next lesson. Cool, Laura. Yeah, we can. Make sure at your next lesson that you remind me that you want to go over this, and I'll be happy to work out the details in that. So see, like there's variations you can do on all this stuff that makes it kind of fun. Like the very first example one we did was this. If you kind of turn it around and do it backwards, start with the A, but then go to the 7 on the 5th string, and then the 5th fret on the 4th string, and then 7th fret on the 4th string. You could do that. That sounds kind of cool. And what I did for the Stevie Ray Vaughan artist study on Guitar Tricks is I took that riff I just played and even twisted it a little more, put a little pull off at the end. You could do that. And if you want to go even further, you could insert a little lick in between every other one of those. See how it's changing it? Now we go to D. Okay, pretty cool stuff. And then on these licks right here, I'll tell you another quick little pointer and then we'll wrap it up. That lick from example 2, it is kind of tricky in the fact that it's not just playing steady eighth notes like example 1, but it's rather doing a triplet, which all 3 notes need to come in together on the 4th beat. And then on the next bar where it says A7 over it, you want to make sure you're shuffling or swinging those notes. 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. And then specifically make sure that the notes line up with your beat, your metronome. So if we go back down to 60 on the metronome, or 70. 70 is what I did example 1 at. I'll play example 2 at that, and then we'll wrap it up. So here we go. It's going to come in on the 4th beat. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you get the idea there. So, ladies and gentlemen, next week, fans of the guitar, next week we're going to wrap it up. And we're going to do something really cool next week for week 7. We're going to be talking about the blues boxes. Back to some lead guitar stuff. The B.B. King blues box, the Albert King blues box, and then the home position minor pentatonic scale. We're going to do a neat little easy to play solo too with those blues boxes to give some musical examples. It's forgot what student it was. The commenter was saying something about learning the theory but not being able to use it. So going beyond just learning the blues boxes, I'm going to actually give everybody some blues licks in each one that you can play that are real easy. And that way you got to apply what you're learning in a musical context. you'll remember it better, and your fingers will remember it better too. So let me just read the comments here at the end. Steve's Langford saying, thanks for the blues, Dave. You're the man for sure, even if you didn't want it that way. Well, appreciate it. But I don't look at myself in that way. I'm just another fan of the guitar, like student of the guitar, just like everyone here tonight. Cool. Appreciate it, Danny. Yep. Zane's another great lesson. Cool, Zane. Yep. Everything I'm doing in these sessions, I know after this week 7, I'm going to step away from the blues for a little bit, but I'm going to work on some important guitar techniques that we need to work on. Picking techniques. All right. Got some good stuff in store, some good exercises, but not just exercises. I'm going to play them in a musical context. So every little example I give will sound kind of neat in itself to play, like a little musical etude. Cool. Appreciate it, Zane. Yep. Paul, yep, you're very welcome, man. We'll catch you next week. Riding with the Kings. Exactly, Laura. Yep. B.B. King and Albert King. And then, of course, we got to talk about Freddie King. We'll do that next week. Berries, yep. Cool. Tune in. Get your guitars tuned up and be ready. Joshua, yep. Appreciate it, Joshua. Thank you very much, sir. Cool. All right, King 50, yep. All right, yep. David, yeah, I will. Ooh, yeah, that's right, Dave. I see you on my schedule for tomorrow. Awesome. Looking forward to it, David. You're welcome, John, and Action Stack, and Steve. All right, cool. Doing Friday. I hope we be lost. Yeah, I'm actually not doing the Fridays. That was Mike's spot. I'm staying on Wednesday nights, Steve, if that's what you're saying. So, but anyway, yeah, every Wednesday I'll be here and working on some good, fun guitar stuff. So everyone have a great night. Stay safe. I'll see everyone next Wednesday. Have a great rest of the week and stay safe. All right. Peace, guys. Keep practicing. Okay. Bye.